We're gonna get real comfy right here. Reptiles, saurines, geckos, scaly ferrets, skinks, leg snake, tiny dinos, Godzilla, land birds. Let's talk about lizardfolk. Lizardfolk go back in time in one form or another for thousands of years, and these classic monsters span from D&D, Doctor Who, Flash Gordon, even to back alley YouTube channels talking about cryptids. Lizards are highly adaptable and live all over the world, and I love the idea that regardless of where you are in any fantasy world, there might be a lizardfolk of some variety or another hiding just under a nearby rock, possibly disguised as your friendly neighborhood congressman, woman, Tillian, person, congressperson, that's the one I meant. Now, while they've been classically monsters since before 1st edition, they've just recently become an official race to play in 5th edition. Volo's guide likes to talk a lot about their lizard brain, how they're emotionless and instinctual and have this great survival mentality. But rightfully so, it is a guide to monsters. Volo's likes to talk about how cold and cunning they are, very utilitarian, and have very few ideas of art and beauty, and looking down on humans for being squishy and useless, and delicious. Tasty, tasty people meat. Probably why they've been classic enemies up to this point. Either way, these little bits of flavor text really bring out some of the really cool and unique features that I think can also be expanded upon to make some sweet character builds. There were a lot of tasting-based references in that paragraph. Note to self, never draw while hungry. Stats-wise, they get bonuses to Constitution and Wisdom, which fits them pretty well for being more of a bestial race. They live about 60 years, and while taller and bulkier than normal humans, they still count as medium-sized creatures. Now, nobody freak out, because I'm actually totally fine with them being normal-sized creatures. You could build them as either small or large, but I don't see that being more or less of a detriment considering that they're already kind of weird, eyelidded, crazy lizard things. I think that's why people don't like politicians, but it's probably just the eyelids. Volo's guide gives them natural armor, and they can hold their breath for up to 15 minutes, which goes pretty well with their natural swim speed. So that in itself is pretty cool. They also get a really powerful bite, which is d6 plus your strength, which isn't bad, especially considering that you get to do it as piercing damage. Once again, they've forgotten about the tail. Why do you always forget about the tail? I think that the swim speed probably comes from the tail. Like they think, oh, they've got a tail that can help them swim. There's a lot of lizards out there that have some pretty sweet butt whips attached to their butts. So this is another great class if you have a hankering for like slapping people with your own butt. Hashtag punch them with your butt. Get on that. I really think as long as you're thinking about these as lizards, instead of just specifically one type of lizard folk, you can really go in quite a few different directions with the natural attack. You have bites, claws, the tail attack. Maybe pick one of those and just have an option to do, blunt, piercing, or slashing damage when you create your character. Variety is the spice of life. Hashtag lizard spice. And let's not forget about the tongue. Some lizards have pretty amazing tongue and cheek combos. Well, we'll get back to that in a little bit. Now here's where the fun comes in. For 5th edition, they get Hungering Jaws, which on a successful bite, you can gain temporary hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. And while that is a really cool ability, I really do like the flavor. It is missing a key coolness of lizards. Healing, yo! No, we'll just do it the other way. Healing. Regeneration. No, that's dumb too. Regurgitation. Regeneration. Actually, do lizards regurgitate? Bleh. I might be thinking of snakes, the lizards without feet. The ability to shed their own skin and heal is awesome. Not just from a game standpoint, but from a scientific standpoint as well. I know from a DM standpoint, it can be really, really game-breaking. Given someone at level 1 fast healing 5 basically makes them impervious to low-level encounters. But later in the game, the benefits in combat really fall off. You see this again and again in pop culture. From the lizard in Spider-Man to Toffee in Star vs. the Forces of Evil, lizard regeneration is just a cool move. And for them to just gloss over it like part of the bite is really kind of a bummer. Or the ability to regenerate limbs and heavy wounds during long rests or even over several days. The possibilities of surviving after a fight is really cool to me. Maybe you have double hit dice, or you can use your hit dice with less than a long rest, or you get double healing from your hit dice. But only getting the temporary hit points from the bite once per day, to me, feels like any creature with a bite could probably get something similar to Hungering Jaws through one means or another. If all else fails, I would argue that they should at least be immune to permanent stat damage. Anything that would lower their stats will eventually just be healed naturally. It's a small buff, but it's unique enough, and it is quite powerful in very specific situations. Why did I say it like that? I really think this area could be expanded upon, because if they don't have their healing, the only other thing they have is the ability to impersonate influential public figures and politicians. I've seen the videos. They're everywhere. Actually, that could be a pretty cool ability too. Is that stretching too far? Am I on a list now? Hold on, let me get some tinfoil. Okay, I should be safe now. But yeah, there are tons of types of lizards. Most of the D&D writings say that lizard folk like marshes and warm climates, which is fine, but there's a lot of lizards out there. in our world, and probably in the D&D world. Some live in cold streams, some live in the desert. I think there's a lot of fun things to work with there. I really like the idea that they should be cold-blooded or get negatives to surviving in the cold. There could be a lot of fun ideas around that alone. Beyond that, you could gain defensive spines or thicker skin, or even poison to your bite. If a monitor lizard's not your jam, you could get bonuses for stealth being a chameleon. I know that's not necessarily factually accurate, but I think the foil hat gives me some liberties here. Back to talking about tonguing people. Well, that just came out weird. Wait, was that a tongue pun? I think I've incepted myself with tongue puns here. Gone too deep, done been swallowed. Okay, that's enough. But seriously, if you're a lizard with a sticky tongue, why not have a free grab attack instead of your natural weapon damage? Count it as a whip, the sticky whip, attached to your mouth. Ugh, now that I think about it, there's probably a few things in the monster manual you actually don't want in your mouth. Probably don't look that up. Hashtag don't put that in your mouth. I'd also allow any gecko folk, lizard folk of the gecko variety, gecko flavored folk. Ugh. Nope, that was not good. Not the same thing. Not the words I wanted. Words mean things. But yeah, you could rock out with the shape change ability if you really wanted. You could easily run a changeling scenario. Just replace everyone with lizard folk, and then you could start up your own movie studio. Did we talk about Flash Gordon already? Apparently lizard folk are weak to lasers. Maybe that's another video. Stay in your cage, lizard man. Pew 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 pew. What the hell was I talking about? People folk, lizard people, lizard folk. There are really so many varieties of lizards to choose from that you can really build quite a unique character before you even get to the backstory. Not to mention, I think that lizard folk would make a really cool Drax for your Guardians of the Galaxaplane? Planary? Guardians of the Planary? How do you say fantasy galaxy without getting sued by Marvel? Shoot, they're probably already onto me. If you have a cool lizard folk story or character, you should come check us out on Instagram or Facebook and share that with. If you'd like to have access to our Discord or use any of the artwork for your own lizard folk, come check us out on Patreon. We build custom tokens for people as well as have access to all of our previous drawings for tokens. Remember to keep your dice on the table and your tinfoil hats on the sky. Wait. Keep your eyes on the sky. Tinfoil hat on your head. Let me double check that.